Hey, what's up, guys? Zach here from Racing Sim Tools, and today we're going to be doing the next setup in the Imola setup pack here. I know it's a little bit later of a stream. Gonna start doing streams later at night, I think, after my wife goes to bed. But today we're doing the BMW. Got two cars left, just the BMW and then the Nissan GTR. BMW's front engine mounted car, pretty long wheelbase. We're gonna be starting with the Silverstone setup. I did increase the left PSIs by about 1 PSI and drop the right hand PSIs by about 0.5. That should get us in the ballpark. We're gonna be trying to hit 27.5 PSI. We have RC got the new build loaded up. We did some updates yesterday, so hopefully we fix that issue with that one crash that we had last stream. The plan is, guys, super exciting. We're hoping to have the Imola setup pack out by Saturday. We're doing speed demons, going through validating all the data right now, and then I'm finishing up these two setups. We're hoping to get all that done by like Friday morning. Release them on Saturday. We will have a discount code for the first 5 people that buy the Imola bundle, 50% off for the first 5 people that buy it. So kind of exciting. And then Sunday, we're hoping to release the next beta build that's going to include all these updates you guys see. We pretty much have everything that we want in the build now, but we need to make it work with other games. Right now it just works with ACC. We got to go through and add the other games, which we already have most of them done from the last update, but we need to use the new architecture that we have and get them in. But further ado, let's go ahead, jump in the car, and get started with this setup. Yeah, Speed Demon got the Hawaiian shirt on. Always rocking the Hawaiian shirt. Let's go and get started. Clear that banner. So this is the BMW. As you can see, it's pretty long wheelbase. I think it's got one of the largest wheelbases of any of the cars in ACC. Maybe the Bentley's slightly longer. So very progressive. It doesn't produce a lot of rear downforce. So it's all about trying to maximize that rear downforce to get a little bit more traction out of the corners. But pretty fun car. It sometimes lacks outright pace, but it does fairly well in endurance races where it's more about consistency. Hey, what's up, Carbon? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. But let's go ahead and jump in, guys. So we're just gonna go ahead. Let me exit this replay. We're just gonna go ahead and load the setup real quick, guys. So again, we are starting with the Silverstone setup. Just a really good baseline setup. Silverstone's a really good track as a baseline. A lot of high speed corners where you really need that high speed stability. Not as much curve handling, which is definitely a more important thing here at Imola. You definitely want to add more curb compliance because it's a front engine mounted car. It does a little bit better over the curbs rather than like the mid engine like the Audi or the McLaren or things like that. So maybe a little bit bigger bump stop gaps, maybe a little lower bump stop ranges rates, but we're probably not gonna have to do too much to it. But yeah, let's go ahead and load it up. First things that we're gonna do is let's get those tire pressures and temperatures and brake temperatures right where we want them to be. Also, I need to drive. I haven't driven at all today, so I need to get a few laps to get that consistency. So when we're doing setup changes, we're taking the driver variability out of the equation. If you guys do have any questions about anything I'm doing or when we go into the data at RST, please just let me know in the chat. I have my iPad open here. Love this new button box I got. Makes reading chat so much easier. But we'll just keep it live Q&A and we'll try to go through things. I'll try to point out things as I'm thinking about them when we're doing the setup. So you guys can kind of get an idea of kind of what I'm thinking about and how I'm going to approach that. Yeah, it's 110 degrees. Definitely not 110 degrees here in Arizona. I think today was like 70. I actually started going back into the office, which is why I got the Hawaiian shirt on. Gotta have those good vibes. But honestly, I like Hawaiian shirts. I wear them all the time. Alright, we don't need to do the speed limit. I do need to... Oh, of course you guys already turned up. Let me turn it down to about 95. Do love the sound of this car. Cool sounding car. Turn my headset up just a little bit. Always takes me a few laps to get settled in here. I am feeling a little loose in my rig, so let me readjust there. I started sim racing with sandals on, so it's a little bit of an adjustment curve, but it's definitely easier on the bottoms of my feet over the socks. With these stiffer low sell pedals, my feet were getting like really messed up, so it's kind of nice to have a small sole with these sandals just to help when I'm doing long races and stuff. Again, taking it kind of easy on these out laps. You have to remember, you can get graining really easy in the out lap if you push a little too hard. Again, those core temperatures are cold. You don't want to push the tire. You're going to scrub too much and get those service temperatures too high. And the temperature delta between the core and the outside, if it's the delta is too big, it will cause graining, which can really hurt you later in the stint. So it's always better to go a little bit more chill on the out lap. Once the core temperatures are up to temp, then start pushing. Tire pressures are pretty low, 26.1 on that front left. Might need to crank them up just a little bit more before we start tuning them in. But let's just do like 3 or 4 laps, see what they get, and then we'll look at the data and go from there. That's the braking point there. Brake temperatures are looking a little pretty good. Green on the front and the rear, so that's good. I won't need to make a big adjustment to the ducts here. Yeah, front left's a little bit low. Because the BMW does have a higher moment of inertia around the vertical axis, it's a little bit sluggish. Like it doesn't want to get into those corners quite the same as something like the Porsche would. Not necessarily bad, just a little bit of something to get used to. Nice. Yeah, I'll probably do that speed just to show the driver, and we can look at where we're losing time and stuff like that. Maybe it's kind of cool to look at. Kind of throwing me up. I can't see the shift LEDs on the dash. Definitely can feel the brakes not as good in the BMW compared to some of the other cars. One car that I was really surprised by the brakes was the Honda. It seemed to have really good brakes here. A lot of time I was finding my braking distance to be too far back and had to move them up quite a lot for that car, which is kind of surprising. So the rear tire pressures look pretty good. It's just mostly the fronts are a little bit low, especially that front left here. And Speed, I'm really surprised you're awake right now, man. It's super late your time. I thought you were trying to get your sleep schedule back in order. Alright, let's do 2 more laps, guys. 2 more laps, and then we'll evaluate the tire pressures. Again, super critical. Always do your tire pressures first. In ACC, tire pressures make a huge, huge difference. So you want to make sure those are spot on before you start making any other setup changes. If your tire pressures are outside the window, your setup is going to make not that much of a difference. You always want to start with those tire pressures and get them kind of nailed. So our goal is to get into the 42s. Kind of the ultimate pace for me. On really good cars with good VLPs, I can typically do about mid 42. And some of the lower VLPs, usually about a high 42. Yeah, there you go. Support this stream. Nice. Yeah, you're a beast, man. I don't know how you don't sleep as much as what you like. You don't. It's insane. I need sleep. Like, I'm starting this stream pretty much at 10 p.m. my time, but I'm definitely gonna be in bed by like midnight. Ooh, that was a really good exit there. Mid corner speed's pretty good with this car. It can hold a lot of high, mid corner high lateral G. Curves are a joke. Again, the front wheel cars, they can just take the curves so much more than any of the other cars. We're gonna complete this lap and do probably about one more lap, and our tire pressures should be at nominal after one more lap. It should be pretty close this lap, but let's just do one to be on the safe side. Rear tire pressures look pretty good. 27.6, 27.5. Usually I'm shooting for around 27.5 to 27.3 on the rears.
I know, mate. The fastest lap so far.
Yeah, dude, we've been trying, Carbon, we've been trying to do more of the streams. You know, I've been kind of slacking in the content creation before. We've been working. Oh, that was my bad. All right, we're gonna look at tire pressures right now. But Carbon, like I was saying, we've been trying to do more of these streams to show our setup process, because a lot of times for me to do the YouTube tutorial videos, it takes so much time to edit those videos. So if I can work on RST, get some of these updates out, and then when I get, just an hour or two when I'm working on these Imola setups for our, paid setup service, if I can just show you guys how I use the tool and what I use the tool for, I think it provides a lot of value. And it's kind of fun too, because I can interact with you guys and we can do it like a live Q&A. And it's just a good time. It's a really good way for us to kind of show the tool in action, which I really like. Oh, dude, and no problems, man. You definitely didn't distract me. And it's all good, because I think the tire pressure is pretty much at nominal. But let's go ahead and take a look. I'm just going to go ahead and let's return this. Look at this guy waving the flag, dude. He's like giving it some good wrist action. I mean, look at that wrist form. That wrist form is impeccable. But we'll go back to the garage now. And we're going to look at the data real quick, guys. Let's see what those tire pressures are. And I'm going to show you the reason why we have to do 3 or 4 laps. Again, we're going to be coming up to these the nominal tire. And one thing I do see with this is, let me move this chat box here. I had no idea it was there. Okay, let's look at the data here. So let me pull it up real quick. So you can see here, we did pretty much 3 laps in the pits and then 3 out laps. Yeah, speed. I definitely do it to myself. That's for sure. I do have the car parameters all already dialed in. I kind of cheated before the stream started, guys. I got these from the setup, from the Silverstone setup, and then the ARB. So all these are dialed in. If you guys have questions about how to get these car parameters, let me know in the chat, and I'll kind of walk you guys through. But for just time savings, I would just load them in from when I had them before, so that when we go on the stream, they're just ready to go. But let's look at lap 1. I kind of want to show this too. So I'm gonna go to lap 1. We're gonna go to temps. And again, we're going to go to ABS TMP. This ABS is supposed to stand for absolute. I know that throws a lot of people off. They go, hey, there's no tire temperatures in RST. Well, there is. It's not called tire temp. What we call tire temp is actually the camber temperatures and the pressure temperatures, which we don't get inner, middle, out temperatures in ACC. So those are blank. But ABS TMPs are absolute tire temps and pressures. Those are actually what you would normally see in the setup menu. So we're going to go there. And we're gonna just make these full screen, and this is why it's really important to not make adjustments on the first few out laps. You can see, if I look at the bottom, this is my tire pressure. You can see at the start of the lap, it's continually increasing, right? It's a line that not keeps increasing. So if we maybe did the first lap and we set the tire pressures here, which was like 27.2, we put 0.3 psi to get them 27.5. Well, we're probably gonna overshoot, right? So we really want to do quite a few laps here. And if I do lap 2, zoom out, you can see even at the beginning of lap 2, there's still a little bit of increase right in this section where my cursor's at. Near the end of lap 2, it looks like it's pretty nominal. But if we go to lap 3, it should be pretty close to a straight line. which you can pretty much see right here. So we probably maybe after the lap 4, it would be completely good to go. But lap 3 is a pretty good indication. I think if we set our tire pressures for lap 3, we're gonna be in the ballpark, and we're not really gonna have to make too much adjustment. So let me just, if you hold Control and double click on the graph, it'll fit the data y-axis. So you can see it's not fit. If I hold Control, double click on the graph, it's gonna fit the y-axis so that the data fits the whole window. Nice little trick if you guys don't know that. Carbone, I never set the car parameters. LOL, don't at me. Yeah, I mean, the car parameters, you don't need them for every graph. And hopefully we'll add an update where it kind of tells you if you haven't entered a car parameter, it'll maybe have a warning on the graph saying, hey, like, hey, you dummy, like you didn't add the car parameters, you can't use this graph. Right now we don't. I will tell you guys, the car parameters are mostly used for the graphs that we're calculating loads. So like aerodynamic loads, wheel loads, lateral stiffness distribution, which is a form of the wheel loads. Those all are going to heavily use the car parameters. If you're not using those graphs, you don't necessarily need to set them. So if I were just to come to RST, look at tire pressures, tire temperatures, brake temperatures, damper histograms, let's see what else. Driver inputs like speed, brake, steering. I don't need car parameters. It's just for some of those other ones because we do math channels, right? We do all the math for you guys. If you were to write these math channels in Motec, you would also need a car parameter. So it's kind of just a necessary evil. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the data. So looking at the data here, you can see the left-hand pressures here are pretty much 27.6, 27.5, 27.4. So the right hand rear tire temp, which you can see here, if I go to rear tire pressure, the front right is the blue, the front left is the red. So the front left is about PSI too high. So I'm gonna drop that rear left PSI about 1 click. That should get right around 27.5. But if we look at the front tire pressures, you can see that right tire pressure is a little bit too low. The front right was right around 27.4, which is this blue line, but the front left, which we have a lot of right hand turns, so that front left's gonna really need that tire pressure to be right. We're at 27, 26.5, 26.7, so we need almost a whole full PSI on that front left tire. So we'll go 1 click on the rear left tire and then 10 clicks or 1 PSI on that front left tire. And that should get us really close. As we make setup changes, we will continually check our tire pressures. As you make setup changes, you change the lateral stiffness distribution, you change the rate, things like that. You're going to be loading those tires differently. And how the load propagates through the tires is how the pressures will start to build in those tires. So as you make tweaks, you sometimes will get slightly different pressures. You need to make those corrections. So those changes will get us pretty close. Let's look at the brake temperatures. Brake temperatures are really important. They're going to keep the brake coefficient of friction at maximum torque, so we'll have the best braking distance. A lot of people, they'll open the rear brakes a little bit too much, and the rear brakes will really cool down at the end of a straight. We want them to be somewhere above 300 degrees Celsius when they're peaking. So let's go ahead and take a look. If they are not, we can lower that brake duct just a little bit, which is also going to affect the pressure. That's kind of why I do the pressures and the brake ducts at the same time. So let's go ahead and go to brakes. And let's look at the temperatures here. So you can see the front is peaking around 450, 500. So this is actually a little bit on the low side. I want this to be, right around like 600, peaking to 600, no more than 600. It can be maybe 650, but you don't want like 800C, 900C. But at 500C, it's a little bit on the low side. So I can add a little bit, close the front brake duct. It's maybe 1 click. That's going to increase that temperature, keep that front brake in that ideal zone, and give it a little bit better braking performance. The rear is actually okay. The rear, you want to keep 300 to 600. It's at peaking to 400, 425. So we actually won't make a change to that rear brake duct, but the front brake duct needs to come down just 1 click. Yeah, I would never use duct 6 on the rear. So that is a good question. So the reason why a lot of people have 2 open rear brake ducts on the rear is the brake duct, you have to think it's going to allow more airflow into that wheel well, which is going to obviously cool the wheel, but that will also help cool the tires. So it's a balance for brake ducts between brake temperature and tire temperature. A lot of times, you know, you have to find, do I want more brake temperature or tire temperature? If your tires are overheating, but you're keeping the brakes where they need to be, the tires are super, super crucial. So you'll sacrifice a little bit of the brake temperature to bring that tire back into the window. You really want to keep the tires under 95C. Yeah, that's a really good place to shoot, Carbon. That's typically, if you look at the HUD while you're on track, you'll see it'll go like green. Typically the green range is 300 to 600. We've actually looked at what the game uses for the brake curves, and it is right around 300 to 600 is where you want. In 600 to 800C, let's say you had them a little too close and you went a little too hot, you actually don't lose a lot of coefficient of friction on the brakes. But what does happen is you lose a lot of the wear is way faster. So you're not losing a lot of performance, but the wear will be a lot quicker. So if you're doing like an endurance race where you might have to change the brakes anyways, that can make it even more of a critical thing to look at. For sprint races, it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, 300, 600 is really good place to shoot for. So the front, we might want to, you know, decrease that brake duct about 1 click. Like I said, it's a balance between tire temperatures though. So let's go ahead and go back to the ABS TMP. Let's see. So on the front tire, the hottest we get is about 84 degrees. It's 84.7. So if I go 1 click down on that front brake duct, we're not going to get 95C. We might see like 87, 88C. So still plenty of room. So we're going to make that adjustment. So first off, we're not really making any suspension adjustments, rake adjustments, aero adjustments. All we're doing is getting those tire pressures where they're going to be, get the brakes where they need to be, because they're also going to affect the pressures. Once we get the pressures nailed where we're happy, then we'll start making setup tweaks. The balance of the car is drastically going to get changed depending on if the pressures are in the correct range. So you always want to make sure you do pressures first in ACC. ACC is so sensitive to tire pressures and temperatures. So always do those first. But let's go ahead, go back to the game and do that. So we're just going to go set up. We're just going to load this one again. Hide it. But again, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm doing setup wise. We're going to go up 1 PSI on that front left. Remember, it was a whole PSI too low. So we're going to go up 1, so about 10 clicks. And then on the rear left, we were up about 2 clicks. So let's go down 2. The rear was okay, and the front was pretty good, I believe. So we'll do that. And then remember the brake duct, the front. So the front brake duct was at 6, funny enough. The rear was at 2. So let's go to 5 on the front. See what that gives us. We might even be able to go down to 4. Again, we're really trying to hit that 600 C on the front for peak. So I'm just going to save over that. Usually when I make a setup adjustment, I will save to like version 0.2, 0.3 based on what changes I make. But because we're just doing tire pressures, I usually just save over 0.1. It's super important to make new versions though. You never know when you'll make a tweak and then it won't be in the right direction. And then you're like, oh crap, like I forget what all I changed, right? So just make new copies. This makes it way easier. We are going to, I want to show you something really quick in the tool though. And one thing too is let me make sure it went to the next tire set. Let's go back to RST. I want to show you guys something. In RST, you know how it will say like session, 1, session 2, session 3. You can actually change that. So if I hover over this pencil, it says edit session name. If I click it, I can change it. So I'm just going to call this baseline. And in the session notes, I'm just going to say adjusted tire pressures and brake. Again, these are really nice. So when you go back to look at the data, you kind of have an idea of like what all you changed. So we're just going to save that. Add a breakpoint in the code. Now you can see in the lap tree, it changed the name from session 2 to baseline. And if I click on this again, my notes there, so I can always kind of refer to that. Again, just nice little subtle help. We're hoping to get the document, the manual out, the new updates out pretty soon, because a lot of this should be described in the manual, but unfortunately we're just kind of behind. And we've been doing too much RST updating without updating the manual. So we'll try to get that added sooner than later. But let's go ahead and get back on it. So I don't know why my tires are so cold. Let me, if you reload the setup, I think sometimes the tires get cold. So let me put it again. Yeah, see, I reset, loaded the setup again. Now the tires are warm. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they would have gotten into the temperature anyways, but I always hate that. So just reload the setup. And we don't have to worry about the pit limiter because offline practice. And again, do not push when the tires are, you know, somewhat cold. You will get graining here. And it feels very icy on this out lap. Alright, we're just gonna do a few laps here, get the tire temps up, do the pressures up, and get a little bit of practice, getting our consistency down. Last lap I was still decreasing that delta. I want to really take the driver variability out of the equation, so setup changes are basically being reflected in the lap times. So we can see when we're going the right direction or the wrong direction. You always want to do setups for kind of relating them back to the vehicle handling model. If you haven't or you don't know what the vehicle handling model is, check out my video. I have a really good video talking about what the vehicle handling model is. Basically breaks up transient behaviors and steady state behaviors. But you're always thinking about, hey, how does the car feel at corner entry? How does the car feel mid-corner? How does the car feel corner exit? But you just want to keep those things in mind when you're doing these setups. Really weird, the car balance feels pretty icy. I wonder if the setup got a little bit messed up when I reset without reloading the setup. I wonder if something got messed up there. We'll have to see. Tire pressure should get pretty close though. We're around 27 psi all the way around so far. Yeah, over the curb it's just ice. Already almost doing a high 42. This the BMW is so hard to get tuned just right because it produces so little rear downforce compared to the other cars. You really have to figure out how to get the high-speed stability. It actually prefers really low rake, which is unlike a lot of the other cars. Yeah. What's weird to me is it feels so different than the first outing we went out on, and all we changed were the tire pressures. Which, if you look at the tire pressures, we're pretty much spot on now. 27.4, 27.4, 27.4, so 27.5. So we're pretty much right on with the pressures. So I'm gonna start kind of paying attention to how the car feels, relating that back to the VHM. It's really high there. It is new type. It actually needs more rear wing than a lot of the cars. The BMW produces a lot of front aero, not a lot of rear aero. So it's really crucial to add wing, decrease that rate to get that high speed stability. I think the high speed, the rear compression damp is a little too high because as soon as I get on that turn one curve, it wants to step out on me. I'm gonna go up one click on the TC too. For me right now, the corner entry is a little bit over responsive and the high speed stability is very lacking. Mid corner doesn't feel too bad, it doesn't feel overly pushy. I do get a little bit of oversteer, but I think it's because of how high the corner entry response is. Tire pressure is looking pretty good. Maybe a little high on that rear left side, but not too bad, to be honest. All right, let's start getting a few good laps here. I know the front's the rear's gonna get a little bit light on me. So let's try to make an adjustment here. Already thinking of ways to reduce that corner entry response. You know, more rear toe, maybe a little less rear ride height. Definitely some lower rear compression dampening. Golly, it's loose. Fun to drive though, I will say that. It's crazy to me that Nils drives this competitively. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the charity sim grid event. They got P3 in the BMW at Silverstone, which just blows my mind. Oh crap, got a little loose there on the entry. Yeah, definitely carbon. Yeah, we'll definitely look at the damper histogram. I think the first thing I'm gonna want to get is take out the corner entry response though. I'm curious what this setup, how much rear ride height it has, how much rear wing it has, how much rear toe it has. These are all things that I'm going to be looking at when I do this setup. The corner entry response is really high, so as soon as I turn in, because I'm a little bit more aggressive on the steering than a lot of people, I can unsettle the car very easily. So I'm going to try to take some response out of the car. I think most people like to be a little bit more aggressive. So we're going to try to take that response down just a little bit. I think once we handle the corner entry response, I think we're going to start getting a little bit better visibility of what's happening mid-corner and corner exit. It's hard to tell what's mid-corner behavior and corner exit just because the entry is so loose. That pressure pretty good though. A little high on the rear though. All right, let's complete this lap. Let's go look at the data. Look at the setup and see what we got to make changes here. Man, it just wants to rotate on the corner entry so bad. My brakes are pretty much nailed though. All right, let's cut the finish line. Look at the data. All right, we're gonna go ahead. Go back to the data here. Let's look at the tire pressures and the brake temps and make sure that is looking good before we move on. So we're gonna go load up this setup here. So session 3 is the one we just did. You can see we already have some more temperature in the tires, and pressure is looking a little better here. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide this. We're just looking at the lap we just did. Tire pressure is right around 27.4, 27.5. Might go down one click on the rears just a little bit. I think if I do that, that's gonna be right where we want to be. The hottest front temperature is 85 degrees. Hottest rear temperature is right around 90. So we're still way under that 95 limit there. Let's go ahead and look at the brakes. Still cool on the front brake here. You can see we did gain a little bit, but there's still a lot to go here if we really want to get it up in temperature range. Because we're not having an issue with the front tire temps, I'm gonna make a pretty drastic change. I only went down one click on the front brake duct. Let's try going up or down like 3 clicks. And I think that'll be, really good. Again, we're nowhere near overheating that front temperature. It actually helped this front right, which is right around 76. You always want to be above 75 degrees. Um, and I have the wrong one. Yeah, so 87 degrees. And there's still plenty of room here. So we'll just go like one click, one or two. Let's just go 2 clicks on the brake ducts, on the front brake duct. The rear is looking really good though, right around 400, peaking to 450. So I'm really, really happy with that. Let's go ahead and look at the data for the that corner entry. Let's try to figure out what's happening in corner entry, right? Corner entry response really, really high. It could be I'm locking up the rear tires, trail braking into the corner. We'll look at the wheel slip. Maybe the differentials unlocking as soon as I turn in. We'll look at that. Maybe I have too much rear low speed rebound dampening. That will cause corner entry oversteer or a lot of corner entry response, which we're trying to reduce. I'm gonna look at the rear toe. Maybe it's a little low. Maybe it's like 0.07, 0.08. I really want that to be probably around 0.15, somewhere like that. So we'll look at that. Look at the damper histograms, and we'll also look at the loads. That's all kind of graphs I'm already thinking about looking at in my head. So let's go ahead. Let's look at the most obvious place. Let's look at the wheel slip. I vote for diff unlocking. Yeah, it might be. To me, it felt very, very light. Normally, the diff unlocking would tell me there's probably something going on, mid corner. And I think the entries, the issues entry, not mid corner. So you can see this is a really good example, right? So this is turn one. So turn one, if you see this line here, if it's 0, oh, you can't see my cursor. This third from the bottom, if the line is on 0, it means the differential is locked. If it's non-zero, so above or above 0, it means it's unlocked. So you can see into the braking zone, it's pretty much locked until I get off the brake and have this kind of coasting area. That's where the preload is going to make a really big adjustment. Yeah, rear toe is definitely a way to add more high speed stability, take out some of that corner entry response. So that's definitely going to be something I'm going to look at, Carbon. But let's look at this. So when we're going into corner entry, what we want to see is the loaded tire. So if I'm doing a left-hand turn, my loaded tires are going to be the right-hand side. If I'm doing a right-hand turn, my loaded tires are going to be the left-hand side. I want to compare the front percent of locking to the rear percent of locking. I never want the rear to be higher than the front. Always want that rear locking percentage to be lower than the front, right? If you have too much on the front, which means is you're going to lock up the front sooner and you're not going to be using them as much grip on the rear. So you want them to be fairly close. But if you lock up the rear more than the front, means you're not using as much grip on the front. So you're going to lock up that rear and basically lose grip on the rear and go into a spin, right? So that's kind of something that we're going to be looking at. So for turn one, it's a left-hand turn. So we're going to be looking at those right-hand wheel slips. And I am going to make a small adjustment. I think these are probably 710 and not 705. They're probably 7. Let's forget what direction. Yeah, so there we go. Perfectly. So I'm really looking is that the rear compared to the front. And you can already see the front right is 3.01 and the rear is 4.07. So I'm already locking up those rears more than the front. So that kind of gives me a hint that maybe the brake bias is too far back. We might need to go forward that a little bit. Brake bias, it's going to change corner to corner. So you always want to check multiple corners. You don't just look at the first corner, right? So corner one, we're locking up the rears too much. Let's go on to the next corner. Next corner is going to be another left-hand turn. So again, we're looking at the right hand. The reason you want to look at the loaded tires is as you unload those inside tires, they're more prone to lockups. And they don't really matter because they don't have as much load on them, right? It's mostly about the loaded tires. So again, looking at the right-hand tires here, that rear is locked up way more than the front. So again, second corner, brake bias is kind of telling me I have the brake bias too far back. Let's look at the slow hairpin here. 3.16, 3.13. So a little bit too much on the rear, but actually not too bad. It's pretty close. And you have to think if we do move it a little bit forward for turns 1 and 3, that's going to automatically make that a little bit better. So I'm not really worried about that corner. Let's look at the next corner. This is the fast left-hander, 2.6, 2.91. So again, every time, almost every corner I've looked at here, we've locked up the rear more than the front. So I'm seeing a reoccurring problem. It's kind of telling me, hey, I'm keep locking up the rears more than the front. I probably have the brake bias too far back, which again is going to cause me some issues corner entry, right? If we're already locking the rears up in straight line braking, what do you think is going to happen when we try to turn into the corner? We're already asking the tires 100% of their grip, right? For straight line braking, they have no more grip to give when we try to turn. They're just gonna basically spin a little bit. So I'm definitely gonna need to move this brake bias forward. The thing with wheel slip is I don't know how much to move it forward, right? There's not a good translation for, hey, I'm 2% locking rear over the front. I need to move it X amount. We're gonna have to do it kind of trial by error. But we do know that we're gonna have to move it forward. Let's look at this right hand turn. Right hand turn, we're looking at the left hand, left hand loaded. You can see, 5.23, 3.5 cents. So again, we're locking up those rears way more than the front. So I'm just going to keep a notepad of things I need to adjust here. So brake bias too far back. So if I move that brake bias forward, we'll lock up the fronts. We'll use more grip at the fronts in the braking phase. So we'll automatically already start taking a response out of the corner entry. Hey, what's up, Fribble? And yeah, Carbon, man. That's why we do these streams, man. A lot of people, they load into RST. They see, I think we have 140 something graphs. They just don't know where to start, right? So the whole idea of these is to kind of show you my process, show you the things that I'm thinking about when I'm doing setups, and to show you kind of the data and how you can look at these graphs to get, insights. Data is cool, but if you're not getting insight from the data to help you make, engineering judgments to change your setup based on that data, what's the point, right? The data is there to help you come up with a better setup. It won't tell you what a better setup is, but it's there to answer questions and guide you so that you can make those decisions for yourself. We are getting a lot of unlocking here, but I want to try that brake bias forward and see if that really helps. So I'm going to go like 2% farther forward on the brake bias just to see what happens, and we'll look at these values again. So one thing I do want to change here is the next session parameters. I did change this to 700, so I don't have to keep changing it every time I do a lap here. Let's just look at the next. I don't really care about the chicane. One area that I noticed it really, really unlocking was here is a left-hand turn. So right hand, not too bad on the right. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and look at the damper histograms though. While we're already looking at this stuff, I already know I'm going to move that brake bias far forward. That probably will help a lot of things. Let's look at the stability graph here. So on the stability graph, if you're above 0, it means you're oversteering. If it's below 0, it means you're understeering. What this graph is doing, we call it yaw stability, but it's measuring the theoretical yaw needed for a specific corner versus the measured yaw reported by the game from the data output, right? If you're rotating more than what the corner needs, it's going to be above that line. If you're not rotating enough, it's below. There is a little bit of noise here, so don't just see these oscillations be, oh my god, like I'm having an issue. There's kind of like some thresholds here. So anytime you see it's above 20 or below -20, that's kind of an area to be concerned with. So you can see, this right-hander final chicaning definitely got a little bit. Let's look at another lap just to see. You can see pretty much reoccurring patterns here. So not too bad, but yeah, we definitely need to fix this. This is definitely kind of concerning, and getting kind of close on turn 1, turn 2. So just declick that real quick. So next thing I'm going to look at is let's go ahead and look at the damper histograms. So damper histograms, they're going to not really tell you what you need to do with their dampers. A lot of people think, hey, I need symmetrical dampeners. And I will say that is a good place to start. A symmetric dampener means you're dissipating as much energy and compression and rebound. The energy management is really symmetric. That is not how we tune dampers in the real life. The way we do dampeners in real life is you can isolate corner behavior for transient, corner entry, corner exit. With dampeners alone, that won't affect mid corner. Dampeners play very little effect in the balance of the car mid corner. So this is why we use the VHM diagram, because you can think about how you can isolate these behaviors, right? If we had really good mid corner behavior, really good at corner exit, but corner entry was a little bit messed up, we wouldn't want to make a change to the spring or the ARB because that's going to affect mid corner and corner exit, right? But what we could do is we could reduce rear low speed rebound. That's going to make the response corner entry a little bit less and not affect mid corner or corner exit. So again, we use these things to kind of guide us. Carbone said, is the oscillator graph an indication of bump stop range? So no, unfortunately, there's really not a mask channel in the shared memory output for ACC that would give us an indication of bump stop activation. You can look at dampener travel. That will kind of help you get a good information about maybe when you're on the bump stops, but unfortunately, they just don't give us that data. And Fred said 6:30 a.m. here. I'm already looking at data and analyzing. Time to get some coffee. It's the best time to look at data. But on the front, let's just think about what's going on here. So I had corner entry was a little bit sketchy in the high speeds. Well, rear low speed rebound damping. If I have too much corner entry response on low speed corners, more rebound is on the rear is going to increase oversteer. A high speed that has the opposite effect. So here you can see I don't really have a rebound bias. I have more peak in the bump range, which means in the low speed, I have a little bit more tame response on the entry. But in the high speeds, if I increase this rebound, I might get a little bit of stability here. So I want to do the brake bias first. Let's see if that gives us what we need. If we need more, we might come back here and do this. But for here, it looks okay. Once I increase that rear low speed rebound damping, you can expect these bars to move over to the right a little bit, closer to the zero node, and the nodes that are closer here, they'll go up. These peaks out here will kind of decrease, and these that are close to the zero node will go up. So it kind of shifts and goes up the more dampening you have. Again, rebound's going to increase the rate at which we unload a tire. But for aero, it will keep that aero element lower to the ground. So that's why it works a little bit different in low speed corners versus high speed corners. Yeah, they the Kunos added it in the data output for Motec, but they didn't add it in shared memory. Why? I don't know. I've been asking for it for a while, so hopefully, maybe one day Eris will give us that. I don't really know how much it provides you because in ACC you're pretty much always on the bump stops, to be honest. You can use pitch gradient to kind of get an idea of how much those bump stops are being activated. But yeah, they really don't provide you much insight other than telling you yes you're on the bump stops or no you're not. But ACC they run such low bump stop gas because these cars are so aero sensitive, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Yeah, let's look at the lateral surface distribution. Oh, I forgot. We don't have it in this build yet. So hopefully we will get this added, but unfortunately it's not here. Let's look at the pitch and roll gradients. Doesn't look right. Really, really high. So 0.6, so the car's rolling quite a bit here. Let's look at the COP here. I'm just kind of curious what's going on. COP is looking okay. It's right around 63, 59, 53. Let's look at mid corner. I'm really interested in the COP here at mid corner for that high speed left-hander. You can see right here, we're right around 57, 58. So that looks pretty good. So I'm thinking most of the instability is coming from that brake bias, maybe the rebound dampening. So let's make those small little changes. Let's see if that improves things. And then we'll come back to the data. So let's go ahead back to the data. I'm gonna return to the garage. Head up here. I'm gonna hide it from you guys. Again, sorry. These setups will be on racingsimtools.com/setups. Hopefully by Saturday. But we're gonna go ahead and adjustment. So I'm just gonna go forward on the brake bias quite a bit here. It's gonna take out some of that response on corner entry. Then I'm just gonna go ahead. I am looking at the rebound damping. It's a little bit low, so I am just gonna increase the rear rebound dampening about 4 clicks. That's gonna add some high speed stability for high speed corners, and then for low speed corners, it'll make it a little bit more rotated, which is okay. Let's look at the rear toe. Rear toe is a little bit low. Let's increase that about 3 clicks. Adding more rear toe is going to decrease that corner entry response. Going to add a little bit more stability into it. That will definitely help us out here. All right. Everything else looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead, save this as version 0.2. We're gonna save it. So again, brake bias forward, change that rear toe, more rear toe in, added a little bit of rear low speed rebound dampening. So all these things, what we're trying to do is reduce corner entry response, so we can be a little bit more aggressive on the steering wheel, won't unsettle the car as much. These things shouldn't really affect mid corner that much. You know, we didn't change the ARBs, we didn't change the springs, so I don't really expect mid corner to, you know, be changed that much. I'm really trying to get corner entry feeling how I want it, because I can't really focus on mid corner right now because the corner entry is so bad. But we're gonna go ahead, save these adjustments. We already did, and let's get back on track. Gotta put my gloves on. That's the only thing I hate about driving in this game is my wheel. I need gloves because I have Alcantara. Using the new Modemec wheel. It's like a 350 millimeter, so it's a pretty big wheel, but I really like it. Allows me to be super smooth on the steering inputs. I can already tell the mid or the corner entry feels way more tame now. All right, tire temperature is coming up, tire pressure is coming up. I can already tell I'm going to be way more consistent with these set of adjustments here. Alright, it should be good to push here. See what time we can do. So Valerie said, what are some good ways to increase tire temperature on a single tire? So usually if you have a single tire that's out of the temperature range, it's just because of the track. You can try increasing the low speed compression dampening. That will add some temperature in there. But yeah, you can't really do too much of it just one tire. Unfortunately, you can't change the brake ducts for just one tire or anything like that, so. My stupid gas is sticking. It's weird. Alright, well that was horrible. Let me see if I can do a little bit better. It's weird, my throttle was sticking, so it was like throwing me off. These V3s, for some reason, they just have issues sometimes. a little bit on the gravel there. Let's do a few more laps here. Definitely in the right direction. That bread is pretty much nailed though, which is nice. Alright, we need to lower that high-speed compression damping. I definitely feel as soon as I get on the curb, it just wants to step out. Probably need to add some wheel compliance to the rears. That was all my fault. It's crazy with this setup too, like how much the car just responds to the steering input. It's insane. Grip handling is really good though. And really abuse that final chicane. Let's do one more lap, see if we can get away with not making a driver mistake here. I think we're gonna go one click or two clicks of rear ride height down. It seems a little bit too much response. I don't really feel comfortable adding any much more camber. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get too much tire wear in the rears if I go too much more camber. This gets loose on the exit there too. Of course I invalidated it as well, but we are in the 42s. I think there's no reason we can't get this car into like a 42.7, 42.8. We just got to figure out how to tame that rear. It's very floaty right now. All right, let's go ahead and look at the data. I think I'm gonna just a click or two. I'm curious what the brake bias looks like now. It did you know, change just a little bit here. Let's go to differential. And you can see we definitely move these down just a little bit here. So now you can see the front is 2.7, the rear is 2.69. So it looks good. 7.5, 5.2. That's the right hand, right? Oh, need to zoom out. Again, 3.06, 2.94. So good. Little pretty close in the front, but we're definitely more in the ballpark here. 4.5, 4.7. So still a little locking on the rear, but much, much better. And I think when we drop this rear ride height, I think it's going to help us even more. What I want to look at real quick, let's go to suspension. Let's go to the session. Okay. What I want to look at real quick is aero. I'm curious in the ride height envelope. You can see we're getting pretty low on this front. I'm going to see. I'm gonna go down 2 clicks to rear right height. I think that's gonna help us a little bit with that the rear stepping out here. The BMW really does like a lot less rake than a lot of the cars here. And we're gonna try 2 clicks less rear ride height. That should bring this down just a little bit more. It's gonna add some high speed stability. We might have a little bit of mid corner push now. But again, I'm really trying to focus on this corner entry response. It's just a little bit too overreactive for me. I'm just going to go here. We're going to load in 2.0. And I'm going to move that a little bit. Looking at the tire wear is pretty good. Definitely wearing the rears a little bit too much here. Probably just because it's sliding just a little bit too much on me. So hopefully this, fixes it up just a little bit. But all we're going to do is just drop the rear ride height about 2 clicks. That's going to add some high speed stability in here. Then I want to check. Okay, bump stop gap on the rear looks okay. I want to make sure I wasn't bottoming out the rear. Everything else looks. Let's see. I want to look at the dampening too. Let's see much of an adjustment here with the dampener histogram. So I want to do. So this was the histograms before the change. So I increased the rear rebound dampening just a little bit, and now the blue is the new histogram. So you can see these bars here, just like I said, the bars close to the zero node came up a little bit, and these bars on the outside came down just a little bit here. So we just kind of scrunch it up and move this up forward. Again, that adds a bit of high speed stability. We keep that rear diffuser close to the ground so it's more efficient. We definitely lost a little bit of low speed. We're unloading that rear tire a little bit more, so we gain a little bit of oversteer on the low speed stuff. One thing I did want to look at real quick is on corner exit of that left hander, getting a little bit loose here, and I'm curious why. Okay, so this is the reason why. The differential is unlocked. As soon as we get on the throttle, it locks again. That's probably why we're getting some wheel spin here. So what I'm actually going to do, you actually see the wheel spin just like kick in like really quick here. So what I am going to do is increase that preload just like 2 clicks. That should help keep this closer to the lock so it doesn't have that discrete jump from being unlocked to lock. It should be a little bit more progressive now. That discrete jump from unlock to lock really adds a lot of kind of like a jolt to the system, so it kind of overloads that tire. Carmen said, I'm such a K-man setting a car. I do aero mechanical and the dampers. Never thought about all the components like brake pads or diff, etc. Yeah, it's really important because all these things are like a system, right? So they're all gonna kind of affect one another. Like I said, we're gonna decrease that rear ride height. Well, we might have a more mid corner push, even though corner entry is okay, which means we need to now take out rear toe that we added in before to get the response. So really, really important to think of these as a system and how you can make those adjustments, get it there. I want to look at downforce. I'm just curious. Let's look at I am curious how the rake here. I don't really see too much of a change there. I'm gonna look at these high speed corners too. Okay, so this is a good corner to look at that. So this red line here is the lap before. You can see that I've on this lap after we ride that rebound, you see how the rake is slower to get, like the slope of that is lower than the red line, right? That's because of that rear rebound dampening. Because we increased it, it causes that rear diffuser to be lower to the ground, so the rake doesn't change as much. We're unloading those tires mechanically quicker, but we're keeping that rear diffuser a little lower to the ground. So on these high speed corners, it actually adds stability, unlike the high speed or the low speed corners. And you can actually see the COP is a lot more progressive. So you see here on the red, the lower rebound, how it just like drops from like 60 down to like 35 or whatever this is. Whereas with a little bit more rebound damping, it's a little bit more gradual here, right? It doesn't just drop. So we could add a little bit more rebound. Again, that's going to add a little bit more stability, but I think it's going to be okay because that rear ride height makes such a difference here. So let's just try that. Let me just make sure everything else looks good here. One thing I did want to do is let's look at turn 1. Differential dampener speeds. I want to look at turn 1 because turn 1, as soon as I get on that curb, the car is getting unsettled. And you can see when I get into this range here, so this is that turn 1 curb, you can see these speeds are like 300, 400 millimeters per second. So that's high speed dampening. I want to make this more compliant because what's happening is the rear is not very compliant. As soon as I hit that curb, it shoots the car out, which makes me a little unstable turn 1, turn 2. So I'm going to decrease that rear high speed compression dampening, which is going to make it a little bit more compliant over those curves, which should help me quite a bit. So let's go back to the dampener. Fast bump is, we're just going to go down 2 clicks on the fast bump here. And save. We're going to say this is version 3 here. So again, all we did is adjust the ride height down 2 clicks on the rear. And then what else did we do? The dampening, we decreased the high speed compression damping on the rear just to make it a little bit more compliant. Again, we're just trying to make it a little bit better on corner entry and over those bumps on turn 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and with those adjustments, I think we should be good here. Let's go ahead and load her up. I think the BMW is one of the harder cars to set up for, honestly. It's so unique compared to the other cars, especially in its aero maps. The aero map for the BMW is way, way harder than other cars. It just doesn't like a lot of rake. Oh, I'm the opposite, Carbon. I love the Lamborghini. It's like my favorite car to drive. For me, the Lambo is very easy to set up. It's like a mid-engine, right? So the center of gravity is in a really good spot for it. It's like right around 42, 43. But the really nice thing about the Lamborghini is it has a very conservative aero package. So it has an aero package kind of similar to like an Aston. A little bit more conservative, a little bit more rear downforce and front downforce, which just makes it very, very easy to set up for. You see that in a lot of cars like the Lexus and the Aston and a few of the other ones. All right, tire pressures are good. Let's see what we can do here. We're way deep on the braking zone, so it's gonna be a horrible time. So what do you not get about the dampeners, bud? Maybe I can explain them a little bit better. I think a lot of people just get confused by the dampeners because they do different things for low speed corners than high speed corners. And a lot of people don't know that because there's a lot of setup guys that don't mention that. Let's see if we can do this without missing our turn one braking zone. Much better over the curbs. There we go, let's go. Four tenths on the exit. Let's see if we can keep it up. 1 second, Cardon. Let me get it down a little bit. 5 tenths. Let's go. Wow, I invalidated because I barely clipped those curves on the left-hand side. So Carbon said, on the Lambo, it feels like the operation is so hard to find in the hit circle. Looks like you broke into a sweet spot. Yeah, don't really, when you're doing dampeners, don't really pay too much attention to the dampener strings. I think a lot of people fixate on them, and it's not really how we tune dampeners in real life. We purely tune dampeners based on transient feel. So how does the car feel corner entry? You know, that's going to probably be a rear rebound adjustment. How does the car feel corner exit? That's probably going to be a rear compression adjustment, right? There we go, 4 tenths right there. What do you mean could the same be said for the REX new type? I don't really know as much for the REX because I don't know if it produces the same amount of downforce, right? When you're talking about dampeners, they do different things for low speed corners and high speed corners because in low speed corners, dampening changes how fast or how slow you unload or load the tires. For high speed corners, it's more about the aero grip, right? More about what's the aero element doing. I lost a ton of time. I was gonna probably do like a 4 or 5. Time is so much better now though. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally understand why people look at the histograms, but I use more of the histograms to answer if what I think is happening with the dampeners is actually happening, right? Like if I have a lot of corner entry response, and I think, hey, maybe I have too much rear rebound dampening, I'll go and look at the histogram. If I see a rebound bias and I know, right, I don't really use it to guide me with setup adjustments. I just use it to figure out where I'm at. All right, let's see what we do here. Four tenths just all in that first turn or two. That's crazy. Six tenths. Let's go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all about, you know, how to make these adjustments. Once I got that corner entry response where I wanted, it feels much better. 7 tenths. See if we can hold it together. I'm gonna choke, watch. Lost a little time there, overslid the car mid-corner. Wow, see, I did choke. I told you guys I was gonna choke. I pushed it way too hard into the final chicane. Alright, let's do a few more laps. I want to start thinking about really what I want to tweak further. I'm way happier at the setup so far. It's much easier to be confident. It's much easier to push it a little bit harder than we were before. This car actually might have some pace here now. Wow, you can actually cut that inside a lot. Almost like the Mercedes. All right, there we go. 8 tenths. Carl, hey man, no problem, man. Always here for you guys' questions. If you have any more questions or anything, just let us know on the Discord. Always here to help. Wow, I validated the lap there. But definitely 8 tenths. Definitely you can see how much time there is in the car once you get it feeling how you want. But thanks for tuning into the stream, man. Really hope you learned a few things. But always here to help. And I hope you have a good night. See if we can... I want to do a lap without invalidating. I know I can do it. I just got to be a little bit more conservative here. The front tire pressure is a little bit higher. Again, I said as we adjust these pressures, we're going to load the tires up differently, right? Well, that's definitely what we're doing. We're loading up those front tires a little bit more now. It's on our website, Carbon. If you go to racingsimtools.com and at the top right of the website, you'll see a Discord icon. If you click on that, it'll send you to our server. All right, thanks, man. Have a good night. Thanks for joining the stream again. I'm gonna move the brake bias back just 2 clicks. I think we're blocking out the front a little bit too much now that we made that ride height adjustment. I think I want to go another click or two of rear ride height down. So definitely getting a lot better here. I just want to do one lap in the 42 before I go in. I know I can do it. Oh, 6/10. Overslowed the car way too much for that corner. It's okay. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's I want to look at the replay real quick. I want to see if I'm bottoming out over the final chicane or why it's getting a little unstable through there. What I do is this is slower down now. See what's going on. So I'm hitting this curb. Yeah, not really bottoming out or anything like that. Actually not too bad. Definitely felt a little loose at one of these points. Let me try to figure out where that was. Maybe a little bit bottoming out, but it's not bad. Yeah, see, that wasn't too bad. Oh yeah, see, that's where I got really loose. What happened there? Did I just take too much curb on the entry? Oh yeah, I took a lot of curb there. All right, let's go back to the garage. Let me look at the data real quick, see what's going on here. Definitely way better times here. What's going on? Let's look. We're just gonna drop the rear just a little bit more here. Okay. That's all we're gonna do. Let's say this is 0.4. See what the tire wear. Tire wear is looking really good. Really even between the front. pressure was a little bit high on the front, right? So go down 2 clicks. Load it back up. I will need to, since we're changing the ride height, I do need to change the car parameters to get the static ride heights again. So we can do 42s now. Probably shouldn't push when we still got low tire pressures. Oops. Oh man, I'm so tired. I'm really excited. This week's actually a short week for me. I actually get Friday off, which is going to be really nice. I have a lot of RST stuff I want to get done though, but it'll at least be nice not having to go into a day job. Front tire press looking better now. Should be spot on. Alright, see what damage we can do here. Got a little loose in the exit there. We gotta do the final chicane. Then we can piece the rest of the lap together. Yeah, pretty much same time as last time, 1/10. Car feels really good though. Wish I could, I think there's a few tints in the left-hander on the exit. I'm just getting a little loose on the exit there. There we go. Like a 10th maybe. There you go. There's another 10th. I'm losing it on the exit. Got a little bit too loose there. Yeah, I think maybe there is a little bit too low preload speed. It's on that right hander, I'm losing a little bit of time there. Still not a lap though. Let's see. I may be thinking preload now. Damn, I lost it on the exit. You shouldn't have to go too much preload speed. You still want, you know, fairly low preload for some of these corners. Let's try it though. Because this car's running at so low rake, if I go too much from the preload, it's gonna push really bad mid corner. Car feels really comfortable though. The left-hander, that hairpin, is where I'm losing some time. All right, we just went wide there. All right, we are a little bit low on the preload. Let's give that a go. I think that'll make the mid corner worse though. So if we go up, we might have to increase ARB. The tire wear. The tire wear is like really good with this setup right now. Where I'm scared the preload will make the most negative like difference here speed is that left-hander, the fast left-hander. Too much preload is gonna make it push even more mid corner. Should help here though. Let's turn the CC a bit. Alright, pressure's still coming up. What car's speed have you gone up on the preload? Just curious. Yeah, see how much it's pushing now there? Not good. Go another lap. I might have taken a slightly bad line through there too. Let's do another lap and see what we get here. I think the preload just makes the mid corner push too bad. I think if I didn't go off track there, we might have been like, you know, low 43. A bit better. There you go. Keep going a little bit wide there, unfortunately. Just the curb is this because it's up a hill. It spits you out. Yeah, as soon as you get it, because it's a little off camber there, it just throws you out like really bad. I'm gonna see if moving the brake bias back with the higher preload will help get the response a little bit better. Car is very easy to drive now, which is definitely different from when we first started. Just not fast. Oh my god, the mid corner push is bad. Yeah, I think the preload's too high now. I think maybe a little bit higher than where we were is definitely gonna help speed, but I think it's just definitely hurts the mid corner push a little bit too much. Go back down. Let's see. I'm gonna compare the data. Just curious to see what the difference in the preload did there. Oh, let's do. Yeah, on average, I was about 5/10 slower. Here's where it's making the biggest difference. That left-hander definitely felt a little bit better. So you can definitely see that left-hander, it stays locked for more, which just gives us a little bit of stability in that high speed section. What about this left-hander? I'm curious. The differential pretty much stays about the same here. During the final chicane, it definitely stays locked more, which probably adds a little bit of stability. Oh, this is actually turn right. But it probably does add a little bit of stability through here, which is good. Spiky here, that's gonna affect it. See turn one. Yeah, see turn one, two, it's locked the whole time. But it's definitely adds some stability, but it's making me push way too much on some of these corners. Like I know on turn three, four, it definitely felt like I was pushing a lot through here. I don't really see it as much as I thought I would. Might be because I'm going on the gravel a little bit. You can see a little bit through here. I think the biggest difference it makes it in that left-hander though. This is way more locked right here. Which definitely adds some stability in that left-hander. So I think orange is the new lap, right? So a little bit more neutral, it looks like here. Especially right here. Yeah, the brake bias definitely doesn't need to go any further back. I think the brake bias on this setup was too far back, honestly, speed. I know on the Silverstone sets we were being really aggressive, but I think here they're just too far back. But yeah, if you go farther back, you definitely want to increase the preload, right? Because if you go too far back on the brake bias, it will start to unlock the differential. I'm trying to think of what I really want to do here. I don't really think there's too much. I think if we go a little bit back to the preload that we were at, maybe go one click, two clicks higher, keep the brake bias where it's at. Let's try going up a little bit more rear toe. The rear wear looks really, really good. I'm not really too worried about the wear right now. I mean, it's like pretty much spot on. So if I can wear the rears a little bit, get a little bit more stability, but not too much because I'd reduce the differential. I think that'll help on that left-hander. I think that will really, really kind of guide us here. Play with the bumps. And it's gonna, because it's a front wheel drive car, I think I can get away with slightly higher bump stop. Slightly lower bump stop ranges, so more bump stop engagement because it's a little bit more forgiving of the curbs anyways. I think that'll give me some more, a little bit high speed stability so I can keep the preload fairly low. Fire set 9 here. You want to look at? Okay, I do have a little bit of rebound bias in the front. No. You'll have to Epic Sim Race. You have to try the Porsche setup we came out with. I think the Porsche setup we came out with is really, really good. But time will definitely tell. I'm trying to think here what I want to do. I hate this car. It's like, I know the last time we did setups for it, it literally took me like 2 or 3 hours just because I was going back and forth a lot on certain things. It's going to decrease that. one thing too. I did a change. The PC was a little bit too. Let's go. So all I did was change the preload back to basically where we were before. I think having the preload too high was making the mid corner push a little bit too much. I increased the rear toe in a little bit. The tire wear looked too good. That's really going to help us get a little bit better exit out of that slow hand left-hander. Also going to add some stability through here. I took a little bit of rebound out of the front. That should help me from that transition from the trail braking into straight cornering. Nice. That's awesome to hear, Epic. All right, let's see what we do here. Ooh, that felt pretty good, actually. Let's wait and hold judgment until we get a little closer. All right, tire pressure's good. Let's go. Let's send it. Mid corner definitely feels way better with the lower preload. Oh, really? That's weird, Epic. It's probably got slightly different physics or something, I would have to guess. All right. I just want to get like into the 42s. Gotta make no driver mistakes here. Man, that left-hander feels so good now. There we go. There's 2 tenths. Let's go. 310. I don't know how I invalidated right there. Try it again. There you go. There's 210s. That's a little bit of time there. There's still 210s here. Ooh, that was a good exit there. Let's see. There we go. Let's go. 410s. Come on. Lost a little bit on the exit, but it's still gonna hold like 310s here. Come on. There we go. 310s. I'll take it. 42.9. Let's go.
Well done, mate. This is me, crossovers.
All right, let's see what we can do here. See if we can do it again. I'm pretty happy with the setup. But now it's feeling a little bit better here. I don't know if it has the outright pace here, but at least we can get it feeling pretty good. Pretty much dead on with my time. The delta is just flickering here. Yeah, I cut too much there. That's so weird that the Xbox would be so different. No, that would have been another 310s. See if we can do it just right over the final chicane. I think I got the setup pretty happy now. We'll do a little bit more testing here. I think the front pressure's a little bit high still. Forget how much curve you can take. Yeah, Nightbot's a little bit aggressive. See here. We're gonna just keep the delta where it's at and then get the time in the I went wide. Didn't lose too much time. That's about a 10 though. See if I can just nail this. Nope. I'm gonna do another lap or two. Let's see what the tire wear looks like. Now that I'm at the higher rear toe, I'm gonna make sure I'm not wearing the rears too much here. Dude, I'm starting to hear that epic. I know setting up wheel and stuff would be really frustration. I know for my wheel I had a lot of issues, which was like incredibly frustration. Ooh, I cut that way too much. Okay. I'm gonna make a slight adjustment here. Let's look at the tire wear here real quick, guys. And then what I want to do is maybe take another click of preload. Just real quick. I think maybe one more click of preload will be right where we want to be here. Then what was the wear? Oh, the wear is like perfect. 2.85 on the front right, 2.83 on the rear right. So pretty spot on. See what the tire temps are doing on the rear. About 6 on the rear, which is pretty good actually. Is that 6 on the front? Go, this is maybe a little bit more camber on the front here. Go like one. So we're adding a little bit of preload here. I think that's gonna help just a little bit with the brake bias, a little bit further back, like Speed was saying. I think the last time we went a little bit too much. We went to like 160. We want to go to like 130 this time. The rear toe made a huge improvement out of that left-hander. Definitely getting a little bit better. But the reason I want to do the preload adjustments, I think it's going to help us in that final chicane just a little bit. I know we're getting a little bit loose there, so I'm kind of curious what's going to happen there with this adjustment. I want to look at the data real quick. Curious what our damper histograms look like. So yeah, pretty good. You can see we definitely moved this a little bit. Here, let me put here one on for comparison. See a little bit of delta here. One thing I am curious about, let's go to run graphs. So session 5, this was basically a little bit higher preload, things like that. And you can see the total grip kind of caps out here at 1.53. With that setup, we were all the way up at like 1.56. So you're getting way more grip out of the car. You can see all these other ones are pretty much gripping at 1.54. So making that rear toe adjustment, getting that preload a little bit where it's at, and the damper adjustment made a huge difference here. You can see this red, which is this last one. We're getting way more grip out of the car. You know, we've gone up almost 0.02, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, 0.02 is a lot when you think about like lateral grip. One thing I want to see too is we have gone up a little bit. So if I look here, zoom in. So if I look at this data set, the higher the number, the more understeer we have. So this graph, the yellow, you can see in this range, it's one of the higher graphs for understeer. So we're adding a little bit of understeer, which is okay. You know, we got that response a little bit better, but we're getting way better lap times here. Yeah, I'm gonna delete, go back. So all I did again is increase that preload just a little bit more. And then these pressures on the front a little bit high, so let's bump those down. Everything else is pretty good, I think. Yeah, let's give this a go. I might go up one click on the rear ARB, but let's just see how this is for now and go from there. this. I'm going to reset session. Temperatures are getting a little hot now. I want to reset to get it back down. Do it. I think this is going to be the money setup, guys.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Ooh, I hit the... They give me damage? A second. Let's return to garage. I think I hit the wall and it gave me some damage here. Return and back to it here. Are you talking in the journal session? No, I'm not Epic. I'm just hanging out on stream talking to you guys. Let's get these tire temps up. How that car feels. Let's see. Pressures come up to 375. Thank you guys for hanging out with me again tonight. It's always way more fun when I'm doing these setups to have you guys for along for the ride. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know. BMW is definitely giving me a run for my money in terms of thinking about what setup adjustments I want to make. It's a really big car too. It's really hard not to invalidate for the fun as you can in this car. Way harder than the other cars, I would say. Doing? Yeah, I know the spa setup for the BMW, we spent so much time on it because we just couldn't get to where we were happy. That felt pretty mega though, not gonna lie. Man, this car does not like that right-hander. Once I have my Delta, that'll help me kind of see where I need to push here. Alright, let's do it. Let's do get out of the gravel. No, it's not epic. It's actually really pushy. It's kind of hard for you guys to be able to see what the body language of the car is when you're not driving it. I know it sounds kind of weird, but just because I'm moving the steering wheel doesn't necessarily mean the back is loose. Yeah, the final chicane felt really good with the higher preload. See if we can get in there. Yeah, so caster, basically it's going to change the angle of incidence for the front. Basically going to give you dynamic camber. So on straight line, the camber is not going to be there, which is going to improve your straight line braking and acceleration. But when you turn the steering wheel, it's going to add some camber. So it's kind of a good way to get best of both worlds. Get out of the gravel. There you go, 4/10. There we go. That was a good exit. Come on. This car, you really just have to be kind of straight over the chicane. All right, 5/10. Let's do it. Maybe just outside of 42. Do one more lap, and I'm pretty happy with the setup though, guys. Feels pretty good. Be a tip there. I feel like I could be super consistent in this car right now. I'm gonna find a tint there. It hates that right-hander. I have no idea why. Front pressure's a little bit low. It's not too bad though. 27.4 is like right on the bottom edge of the window there. See if I can piece it all together here. Keep going a little wide there. I want to look at the replay. I want to see what's happening on that right-hander. Let's do replay 7. Right here. What is going on here? I'm curious if maybe the... Oh, not there. Okay, so this is the left-hander, right-hander, and I'm curious what's happening coming up. Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, Epic. It's all about using the full width of the track. Why am I not zooming to the right? Okay, here we go. Slow her down. Hey, is this so loose right here? Look. What I'm gonna do is look at this. The car is heavily loaded right here. The super slow. Coming up on this inside curb. Car jolts out. You can see how much we're loading that right-hander. Look at this tire, how much we're loading it up. We hit that inside curb. You can see the car just gets sideways as soon as I hit that inside. You almost like want to stay off of it, I guess, with this car. There's not much we can do. We can soften up the wheel compliance, but it's already really soft. As soon as we hit that curb, it just overloads that left a little bit. It's easy to catch, but yeah, I don't really think there's anything we can do about that. That looks to me like a slipstream. What do you mean by a slipstream exit? I don't think I've heard that before. The issue is this curve. As soon as I hit this curve, it's overloading this rear left tire. I could decrease the compression dampening, but I don't really think that's going to make much of a difference. Yeah, it's just overloading this rear left tire. Partly has to do with the car, like the long wheelbase here. You can see it's really easy to catch, but yeah, it definitely gets unsettled through there. I'm used to taking that line, but maybe you need to take a slightly different line in this car. Yeah, it's not too bad. You can definitely see the back coming up. But let me look at the data real quick. Go to dampeners. It's nothing about the slip angle. It's the curb. It's unsettling the car, guys. It's overloading that left rear tire. Rear left tire. Because what happens is when we load it up, you could probably decrease the rear ARB a little bit. That might help it a little bit. I want to look at the dampeners. You can see this is more or less that left-hand tire. We look at the travel here. Let's see, rear left. Higher is going to be compression. So this is the tire. So you can see, look at this, guys. So look at these oscillations here. That's the load basically propagating through the tire. So you can see how unsettled that it's getting. So the only way to fix that would be to soften this up just a little bit. I look at these speeds here. The rear left is the here. So you can see it's pretty much in line with the front here. The blue, the front right. Compression. Where's the re? Actually, not a lot of rebound through. New type said, yeah, that's an issue I have with the Browns on Imola. It needs a wider arc to be able to get around that corner on Akko Morali. Seems the BMW and Mazda are very similar cars. And yeah, they might have similar wheelbases and moment of inertias. The suspension geometry, we might be losing camber under compression. Might be caused. Go back to this. Let's think about what we can do here. I don't want to decrease the rear high speed compression dampening because it's already low. If I go low, even lower, it's going to become an issue, I think. Need to reduce the load on that rear left tire whenever we hit that curb. The rear anti-roll bar is already pretty low. Rear toe is quite high already. Don't want to go much. Let's see what our wear was actually even. Yeah, wear is like perfect. I really don't want to add more toe to this. This is a tough spot here. I'm going to reduce the rear bump just a little bit, the low speed bump, which should affect a little bit of the loading. I don't want to go much on the high speed side because we're already pretty low here. Let's give this a go. I'm not sure if this will do anything, guys. So let's at least look. So again, I'm trying to reduce the load on that rear left tire. So I reduced the low speed rear compression dampening, right? So even though these are high speed dampening speeds, the low speed is gonna still contribute to the overall force of that. Let's see if this helps. Honestly, if this doesn't help, there's really nothing else we can do because we're already pretty low on ARB. Usually if you have like a really high ARB, it will cause this issue. We're already fairly high in rear toe, so I don't want to really go up anymore. Well, that felt a little bit better. Maybe the low speed compression image is a little high on the rear. Epic said, "Do you guys know a book that I could study so that I could get to know the tuning part of the car, know what to do, and understand the car's behavior?" The best place to probably start, Epic, is the RST manual. We pulled a lot of references from Seegers and Milkins and stuff like that, so I would read through that. That's going to be probably the best place for most of you guys to kind of get started. There's about 100 something pages of theory in there, so that should be a really good place to start. All right, moment of truth. Oh, I totally missed that curb. Let me get a little bit closer here. Aerosmith's a good book too. RC is probably going to be more in detail in terms of data. The tune your car. Aerosmith is going to be more about this, you know, what components are going to make what change into the balance. RC is more geared for how to look at the data and then, you know, how those components all kind of interact with one another. That is a good point you took. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit closer here. That feels really, really good everywhere else, though. There you go. At the 10th, let's go. Come on, let's see what the car feels like through here, though. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Let's go. Let's go. 4/10. Come on, baby. I lost a little bit, but 3/10, I'll take it. No, dude, type. I still took the same line as before. So the main difference we did is you have to think about dampening, right? I didn't want to go down on the high speed compression dampening on the rear. It's already low. It's like 7, right? It's already really low. If I go too much lower, we're going to have some undampened oscillations in like the high speed range. But the low speed rear compression dampening was still a little bit higher. It was like 13, 14. So I just did 3 clicks, and you have to think like, hey, if you're hitting a curb, you would think that, you know, it's high speed range, right? And you are true. If you want to just affect that high speed range and not mess with the low speed, you can dial the high speed range, rear compression dampening. But I didn't want to do that, right? I'm already really low. Low speed, at high speeds, low speed still contributes to that dampening. So all I did was reduce the low speed compression dampening was a little bit higher, so I had a little bit of room to reduce it. So I did, and that made it just mild enough where it was able to take that curve perfectly. So feels really, really good now. I'm really happy with that setup. Very, very easy to push the car, and we did a 42.6, which is pretty quick for the BMW around here. That's a pretty good ultimate pace. But like I tell everyone, you never want to just do a setup in these like hot lap conditions. maybe AI get in front of you and throw you off. We're gonna do a race, 20-minute race. We're gonna test the race ability of this setup. We're gonna have AI coming at us. I know last time I lost like 5 SA with the AI because they're just being stupid. But we're gonna give that a go. So we're gonna load the same setup. We're gonna load it into a race to make sure that we can use this in kind of like a race, right? When random things happen, we don't lose the car, and go from there. Tire wear is really good. Car felt really, really good. So I'm really happy with this setup. Took a little bit longer. Just like you can see, it's not always that you're gonna load in, know exactly what you need to tweak to the car. This is a good example of, we needed to think about what a setup, what adjustments we were doing, and take this in a methodical approach. Otherwise, we could have just kept chasing our tails, right? So really think about when you're making these adjustments, when you tweak, the rear ride height, what else all is that affecting? Yeah, you're going to have, better mid corner, more response on mid corner, but what's going to happen corner entry, corner exit, things like that. And it helps you kind of formulate, your plan of attack for how you're going to get the setup to where you want it to be. But let's go ahead and load into that race, guys, and go from there. We're just going to quit out. Gonna change this to a practice to a quick race and do 20 minutes. And let's not start in the back. Let's change this back. Let's put ourselves in like P15. I think last time I started too far back, and that's why the AI were destroying me because they were way slower. And one second, Mike. Oh, get off, Setsy. Okay, so we are loaded up. Let's load it in that setup real quick. This is the perfect. Perfect. Do it, guys.
Stay double file.
Alright, looks like we're starting on the inside, so we'll be on the inside of our turn 1, which will be kind of nice. What is the temperatures? Oh. The temperatures are perfect. Let's turn those wipers off. Don't need them. Yeah, I know. Right, new type? He always gets on to me. I don't really... I mean, I get it. We're trying to sell these setups, right? And there is kind of like the business aspect of it. But I just like having these streams with you guys and kind of talking through my process. So I don't really care. If you guys want to look at the setup and jot it down, then... I mean, it's not really going to, decrease sales or anything like that. So he's a little bit more stricter than me, though. All right, here we go, guys.
Green light.
All right, green light. All right, we're gonna back out just a little bit. Good end in tears.
Car on the right.
Tire pressure's a little bit low. We're just gonna drag our brake just a little bit into turn 1 here.
Clear on the right.
Hey, I almost stop into turn 1. Absolutely brutal.
Clear on the right.
All right, we're clear. Let's start pushing here.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
All right, tires are still a little bit low on pressures. Car feels really good though.
Car on the right.
Really stopped
Clear on the
here.
right.
We'll take a position like that. Surprised it's not making us give that position back. Hopefully when the grid starts to spread out just a little bit, we'll be able to
Car on the right.
get the inside lane.
Clear on the right.
Nice thing about these front wheel cars is you can take a lot of curb there. I don't know if you saw it. It was all over that inside curve. A little bit of damage on the start, but not too bad. Nice. All right, we're gonna take this inside.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Up to P12. Got the 14 Lamborghini up ahead. A little wide there. New type, do you see how much of that curb I got on right there? And absolutely had no problem. That I bet the low speed compression damping was just a little bit too high before. It was causing that left hand tire to just overload just a little bit too much. Alright, we're right on the number 14 now. Might have some legs here. Let's see. It looks like we have a little bit speed over the Lamborghini.
Clear on the left.
Ooh, we're gonna go side by side into turn one.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Let's go. I'm gonna stay back for this one. Kind of hard to make a move through here.
Car on the right.
Inside. You still there? Good type said that was extreme. Yeah, I'm definitely be seeing if that's what I want to do with my setup work for that. Yep, definitely. Yeah, you just have to think about what's going on with the car. I think a lot of people they just don't think about what the car is actually doing. It's hard for them to come up with setup adjustments, right? Yeah, it's much better through there now. That Lexus was so sideways through there. Did you guys see that? That was crazy. Car's looking real good though. Feels amazing. We're gonna try to make it happen on the outside. Still on the inside.
Clear on the left.
Done. All right. It's a P9. Got the number 3 Bentley. 1.4 seconds up the road. This car definitely isn't the fastest car. Definitely doesn't have the fastest BLP here at Imola, but it actually would be, I think, pretty fun in an endurance race. I feel like you could be fairly consistent with this car. And I think where, you know, consistency really matters, I think this car would actually do pretty well. All right, we're catching up this number 3 Bentley pretty well here. Don't want to get too close. They always like slow down way more here. I just feel like this car is so big. Like it just, the final chicane, it feels like I have like 1 inch on either side to not invalidate. See if we can get a good exit here. Not sure if the Bentley has more horsepower. Let's see. Ooh, this toe is definitely playing off. Let's take the inside line of the turn 1 here.
Fastest lap of the race. Great job, man. Clear on the right.
Got it done. Let's see if we can pass the 34 BMW.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Yeah, the BMW is definitely a thick boy. Especially, I think, what did I drive yesterday? The Porsche? I think the last car we did was the Porsche, so kind of crazy, crazy difference to go from Porsche to this. Beverage is a spot on the, look at that, 27.5 up front, 27.4 on the rear. Alright, got the 55 Audi, 1.5 seconds up the road. Let's see if we can catch him. They got not halfway through yet. Yeah, it feels a lot better. Come on, let's go. On a podium. The way this car feels right now feels really similar to the Aston Martin. Let's go. Come on. A little hard to see with the traffic there. We're gonna catch him right here.
We are at the halfway mark. Still a way to go.
Just gotta get close enough here on the final exit just so I can pass him on the straight. Let's see if I can close this. Let me close into turn 1. Let's see. I think the toe is gonna help me here. Come on. BMW M-Power, baby. Oh, he's gonna look at that block. He's gonna block me into turn 1. Gotta back out. That's too risky. Lost so much time there in doing that. It's actually fun to read the AI sometimes. So hot. car is just a beast of the curbs. It always seems like the front engine cars have a little bit of an advantage here in ACC compared to the other cars as far as curb compliance goes. Whew. A little contact there. I don't think we had any damage. Yeah, no damage. Let's give him a little kiss. Just a little kiss. All right, we gotta get this done. Gonna turn 1. Here we go. Oh, dive bomb. Totally killed. Totally killed that Ferrari. That was my bad. That was bad form. See if I got any damage from that. Ooh, yeah, I got a lot of damage from that. I just locked up the car trying to brake a little too late, and once you get into that ABS, it's really hard to get out of it. I think we'll be able to catch this Audi here still. Don't know if we'll get a podium though. Yeah, I think you're right, New Type. I think it, you know, there's things that you can do to help it through that final corner, but I think it's still really not meant to be taken in like that in this car. Like you said, I think it really benefits from just taking a little bit wider line, you know, keeping off that inside curve. You can definitely make it a little bit more compliant over that curve, but compared to some of the other cars, it's still not exactly the same. Making mistakes now. Keep getting close to him. Hard to get around him though. We'll take the inside and get him here though.
Clear on the right. Car on the right.
Yeah, exactly.
Clear on the right.
You're exactly right, New Type. It probably has a lot to do with the suspension geometry and like the moment of inertia of the car.
Clear on the left.
Man, I'm getting tired. The 12:30. Wow, 12:30 my time. A little later than I would have thought. Might be able to catch P4. We'll have to see though. I do have 8 seconds of damage now because I destroyed that Ferrari on accident. We'll have to see what happens though. Oh, my headset just... Oh, there it goes. That was weird, my headset like cut out. Hit that curve and it unsettled me just a little bit. Yeah, 2 seconds ahead to the number 4 Mercedes. Getting a lot of time through there. That was really nice. It's car is very sensitive to steering input over the final chicane. If you have a lot of steering lock over the final chicane, it just grips up and definitely takes you kind of for a ride. There we go, though. Low 43 with 8 seconds of damage on this car. I will take that. 1 second gap now. Got 2 minutes, so probably 1, maybe 2 more laps. We'll have to see. I think we might be able to catch him. I don't know if we'll be able to pass him, though. Let's see. We're going to start pushing, though. I think we'll be able to catch him. I love it when the car just hugs up to that curb. It's so satisfying. Come on, let's go. 5/10. So close. I hope we go 1 more lap. Come on. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna make this happen now. Too far back to good dive up the inside. Thing is, the Mercedes is pretty quick down the straights. I don't know if I'm able to close the gap here. Wow, he broke early. Oh, so close. We're gonna take the inside though.
Clear on the right.
Ooh, a little contact there. He nudged me from behind just a little bit. Able to get in front of him though. Let's see if I can hold it. He's looking from the inside. There we go. Nice. Yeah, it's a lot better through there for sure. There we go. Man, so close to a podium up here. 1.8 seconds. We would have had it. I will take that, guys. Let's go. P4.
Leader has finished the race. Alright, mate.
Nice.
Good job. You did the best you could.
I'm gonna watch just a little bit of the replay. I want to see what the car feels like and looks like, the body language. It's 1 lap in traffic. Let's take a look. Yeah, look how damaged my car is after killing that one guy. Yeah, this was a cool lap, I think. Let's watch this lap here. Love that RST livery too. It's so sick, right? Car looks really good over the curves. You can see there's a lot of roll in the car, but that's just kind of part of the BMW, I think. Nice. That looks literally perfect through there. The power of passion. There you go. Yeah, I wish I had a RST library for the BMW. That'd be pretty sick, wouldn't it? Yeah, look at I closed a pretty good gap through there. Look at it through the chicane. Ooh, look how close it was. It just floated over those curves, didn't it? That was so nice. So close. I want to see the pass. I thought it was that last lap. Maybe it's up here. I know it was super close in turn 1 too. I think it's gonna look pretty sick. Let's see. Look at that. Woo. Look how close we were through turn 2. Look at that. It looks like I was glued onto him. Look at that. Jeez. I just love how the car glides to the outside like that. Oh, wait, look at that. He nudged me. We were going straight and he like nudged into me just a little bit there. What a bastard. I do love the look of the Mercedes though. Mercedes is such a cool looking car. Sounds amazing too. Love that deep throaty engine. That's where I started to pull a gap just a little bit. My cat's on stream. Yes, that's you. Yeah, I love the car. Just looks so planted. It just looks really nice. You know, it's a car that looks like it's fast is gonna be fast. You can actually tell a lot by the car just from looking at the replay and looking at how the car rolls through turns and things like that. How it, you know, reacts to curbs, things of that nature. But I'm pretty happy with that. I do want to look at the data real quick. Let's just take a quick. I'm just curious what the grip looks like. So let's go to run. Hey, thanks, Epic. So this is that 20-minute race, and you can see what we're looking at is the total. This is understeering. 1 second. Total grip. So this is the total grip for the race here, and you can see, you know, we go like 1.51, 1.55, but there's not much of a drop off here. That's really good. That means we're being very conservative of those tires. If you saw like a decrease of this line as the race went on, that would tell you you're starting to lose grip because of the tires. They're starting to wear off. So that looks really, really good. One thing I do want to see is let's see if the race understeer angle 2 will tell you if the car is getting more understeer or oversteer as the race goes on. That looks really, really good. Can't really complain there. I do want to compare the first few laps with the last laps in terms of, let's go to temps. The brake temps, what's going on? You know, brakes are still, you know, 600, less than 600. So that's really, really good. And rear brakes are perfect. Look at the tire temps. Yes, team. You can see we're still keeping that front left under 90 degrees. So a lot of headroom on that rear, and tire pressure is really perfect, right around 27.5 psi on the front and on the rear. So that looks really, really good as well. One thing I want to see is how did these pitch and roll gradients change as the race goes on? You can see the front pretty much stays the same. Not much of a change, but you see the rear, the blue line here is a little bit more shallow. So that tells me as fuel comes out of the rear gets a little bit stiffer because there's less sprung mass, right? There's not as much fuel comes out, and because we're not changing the stiffness, it becomes a little bit more responsive in the back. So that's good. You know, as long as the rear tire wear is okay. If we had too much sprung mass come out and the car got really oversteery, I would be curious to see what the tire wear is doing, because that would be a slippery slope, right? The more lateral stiffness we move backwards, the more oversteer we would get, which wears wears the rears more. And if we were wearing the wears more, this becomes a quicker to wear them. One thing I do want to check is, let's go ahead and take a peek at the wear. Let me just take a look real quick. So, really good spread right here. 2.72 on the front right and 2.70 on the rear right. So this would easily done a full 65 minutes, and the spread between the front and the rear is almost perfect. That means there's not going to be a huge balance shift in terms of how the car balance is going to feel as the descent goes on. If we were wearing down those rears a lot faster, the car would become more oversteery and oversteery as the race goes on, which would be a little bit hard, right? So overall, super happy with the car. We definitely got some pace into the car. Was able to be really consistent with the car. But I think that's gonna be it, guys. It's already almost 1 o'clock my time. I do have to get up at work tomorrow, but thank you guys for tuning in. It was so awesome to have you guys along for the ride. And this again tonight shows you that sometimes, you know, this takes a little bit of time. Some of these setups don't just come to people instantly. You have to put the work in. The important thing is just to think about what you're doing, how the setup is going to, when you make adjustments, what the other things those are going to adjust. Always think of the vehicle handling model, and use data to help you kind of answer some of those questions, right? I wasn't using RST to drive things. I was trying to figure out what the behavior was, consult RST to confirm if my thought about that was correct, and then make tweaks from there. But this is going to go on the Imola pack for our setups. Again, the setup pack is at racingsimtools.com/setups. This Imola pack will be going live on Saturday. So these will be available to download this weekend and be ready to go. We have one more car left. It's the Nissan GTR, which is the car I hate the most, even more than the BMW. But again, super happy with this setup. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We'll try to do some more setup streams where you guys can ask questions. We show the RST data, things like that. But thank you for tuning in. If you guys like the video, please leave the video a like or a dislike. Either way, it's going to bring people to the community. If you guys have any other questions or anything, just let me know on Discord. But until then, this is Zach from RST. I hope you guys have a good night, and thank you guys again. Until then,